Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the round 21 TLT and preview of the round. Tonight I'm joined by Tim. Again, how are you, Timmy?
Yeah, good. Thanks, buddy. Good to be here. It's the end is nigh, as they like to say. So
Yes,
yeah, the home stretch.
that's it. Not long to go now. Only a few rounds to go till the head-to-head final starts. So we're hitting serious business. And I think this is a pretty vital round because there's some interesting trades there, and I've got a few ideas in my head, and I've got no idea what way I'm going at the moment. I just don't know. So. But anyway, we'll rip it and have a look at the team. So first game to start off the round. Well, I want to start the round. It's the Wooden Spoon Cup. It's the Dragons versus the Tigers.
How can you
So,
say with a straight face as a Tigers fan?
oh mate. All right. Anyway, for the Dragons, Tyrell Sloan comes back in and Jacob Little comes back in. They get pumped back from Origin 2. Then Russell started back row in place with Ben Murdoch and Stiller. For the Tigers, David Novoluma's back in the wing after his injury. Asa Kapoa drops out of the team. Dane Laurie replaces Will Smith at 5'8". And De Silva replaces Jake Pimpkins on the bench. Also, just in the 24-hour team changes now, Vanilla Pole dropped out of the team completely, and Atasi James will replace him on the interchange bench. How do we see this one going, Timmy? Is it going to be a high-scoring game? Because both teams can't defend very well. How do you see it panning out?
Yeah, look, I probably, I don't know. I think the Dragons probably get the chocolates in this one. I think the only quality player really the Tigers have got left there at the moment is Johnny Bateman as far as Supercoach goes. So there's not a lot of relevance there. Tyrell Sloan, if you've kept him, you probably play him in this game. Jack Bird, if you've got him, you play him. Ravalawa, maybe out left-hand side, is probably a good play in this round, but let's be honest, there's not a lot left there.
There's not much there. I don't like anyone for the Dragons, and Bateman's the only one for the Tigers that I like as well. So,
Benny Hunt would be worth a punt if you're doing something crazy stupid, maybe in a draft comp.
no.
Benny Hunt comes good this time of year, and let's be honest, he's pretty much the only attacking weapon that the Dragons have got. Whether or not Ben Hunt's still there next year, let's wait and see.
And on that note, Usman's just got out for 3 as well. So
snappers.
Yeah. Next game is the Warriors versus the Raiders. So for the Warriors, Nakure comes back from suspension. Afawa's back from concussion. Nick Barnett and Todd Ailey move back to the bench. Josh Curran and Bailey Sirenan drop out. For the Raiders, they get back Josh Papali from his hamstring injury. Horse comes back in as well after Origin, and Solo is back from concussion. Matt Frawley goes down into man, and Peter Holler and Trey Mooney drop out. Interesting game, this one. I think the Warriors will probably be too good in this one at home. After what they did to the Sharks last week, I think they're going to be very hard to beat in this one.
Yeah, look, look at the way the Warriors played. Any team that scores 40-odd points in a game of footy at this time of the season, you got to be pretty happy with. Look, Sean Johnson will absolutely be a captaincy, vice-captaincy guarantee this week. Just the form that he's in. He's turned back the clock like 10 years, the way that he's playing at the moment. He doesn't seem to be missing a beat. Not only that, he looks fit and firing. He's even starting to get a little bit of his speed back. So, yeah, Sean Johnson on the mojo right now. He's looking really good.
And Fanua Blake's flying too.
Yeah, AFB absolutely. He's one that I wished I brought back in earlier than now. I'd love to have 2 or 3 boosts left. That'd be really bloody handy at the moment.
I've been saying it for the last few weeks. Like I had the choice of either AFB or Taylor Harris a while ago, like a long time ago, maybe around 13, and I opted to go to Harris instead. Well, geez, I wish I'd have gone AFB, but yeah.
Now with Tino out, with Tino out, look, a lot of people have had the question online, Payne Haas or AFB. Look, it's a tough one. Interested to hear.
Debatable, honestly.
What's that, sorry?
I don't think it's even debatable. I think we've got to go half. I just think I've seen a couple of scores of AFB without attacking stats. he got a try and a line break and a try assist last week. The weeks that he hasn't had attacking stats, he can pump out a 40. Haas is always going to be safe for at least a 60, 70 every week. So I think probably AFB's probably got the upside though. I think AFB's got more upside in him. But it depends on if you want the safety or not. I mean, Haas will get you safe points every week though. It's a hard one.
I think the tough part is when you have a look at the Warriors' draw for the run home. You can.
It's good.
AFB's got a really good chance of getting a try game or pretty close to it. So it's great to say his base is low if he doesn't score a try. But let's be honest, he's scored a try nearly every second game this season. So, look, he seems to be fairly consistently getting the attacking stats. If it's not a try, it's a try assist or a line break assist just short of the line. So, look, he's an absolute weapon. If I had the cash and the trades and everything else this week, outside of what I'm already doing, me personally looking at the draw, I'd probably lean on AFB over Haas, but that's just my personal opinion. I think the games and matchups that he's got there, he's got the potential to keep knocking out 90s and tons.
We'll move to the next game. We'll talk a bit more about the SJ versus Cleary conundrum a little bit later.
You mean SJ versus Cleary?
Yeah.
Tedesco versus Cleary is probably not going to help us much.
No. Just in regards to whether you trade out SJ or whether you hang on to him. Next game is the Rabbitohs versus your Broncos, Timmy. So Rabbitohs get a stack of players back. So they get Latrell back, Campbell Graham's back, Joy Arrow's back, plus all the Origin players. Blake Tapp, Havili, and Thomas Burgess got back to the bench. The interesting one here is Munro's not named. Now, apparently he has got an injury. We're not sure how serious the injury is, hence why he hasn't been named this week. I thought maybe he'd been got, but no, apparently some sort of injury that he's got. Apparently it's nothing bad from what I'm hearing. So he's not even playing New South Wales Cup this week. So that answers the next question for those who are asking. For the Broncos, Reece Walsh comes back from suspension. Payne Haas is back from his injury. Saylor drops out. Jensen goes back to the bench. They get Carrigan back as well. And Adam Reynolds had a cracker of a game last week. Had a wrist injury, but he's named to play. How do you see this one panning out, Timmy? Do you think the Broncos get the win, or do you think it's going to be a tough game?
Yeah, look, this is a bit of an interesting one. Even as a Broncos member, I'm a little bit torn on this. Look, Broncos are just about back at full strength, and Souths are pretty close to it as well. So it should be an absolute cracker of a game. I think it's probably going to be a case of if Latrell plays and he's fully fit, then it's going to make things a lot more interesting. I think if Latrell's not fit to 100%, I think Broncos probably get the points. Yeah, so a lot of it's going to come down to him, and we wait and see. Look, like I said, Broncos back at full strength or close enough to it. I think they're going to give things a bit of a nudge from here on in. I think they can certainly win their home games, or win half of their games left over and got the top 4 spot pretty much stitched up. Souths are much the same. So it's going to be a good game for both teams, actually. I think it's going to be a really good game to watch. It's prime time on Friday night. Unfortunately, I've got a football game to play in at 8:30 on Friday, so I'm going to miss it.
Yeah. Latrell's obviously a big in for South. A lot of people trading him this week. What's your thoughts on him? Do you think it's worth jumping on him straight away, or do you think you should wait a week and see how he goes? He's got to break even at 130. But we know what he's capable of when he's on. He could easily get that in like half a game of football. So for me, it's a wait and see.
The last time that he played us earlier in the season, I think he was on about 30 points with 10 minutes to go or something, and nearly turned up.
Yeah.
So it's just ridiculous. I was there at the game watching it, and he was nowhere near the play, and then just ran around the back and just absolutely killed it. So a few short kicks and chips and everything else that he has involved. So yeah, look, it will be a really absolute belter of a game. I'm looking forward to it. When I get home to watch it after football, I'll be trying to hold off on the score.
Yeah. You better start social media then, mate, because you'll find out otherwise.
Yeah, especially you cheeky bastards. You'll be
Yeah.
giving me plenty of stick when they lose, or depending on what the result is. Anyway,
All right,
the
next
Munro
game.
one's really interesting because I actually brought
Yep.
Munro in last week and I took him over going a dual position nuff. So I really thought that he had that centre wing spot stitched up with the Bunnies. So I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought he'd actually be a cheap play for the last 7 rounds.
I think he'll be there. I think he'll be there once he gets over this little injury that he's got. I've got no doubt about that. So
The way that he's played, surely they will play him over
yeah,
Tane.
100%. I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't be trading him in this week though if I didn't already have him. I think it's a bring in enough, like bring in a power or something like that now. I just don't think it's worthwhile bringing him in. He's not playing this week and they've still got a bye left as well. So yeah. All right, next game is the Titans versus the Roosters. So Tedesco's back after his rest last week. So Manu goes back to centres. Swiley shifts back to the wing and Hager drops out. And for the Titans, big out Tino suspended for 3 weeks. Isaac Will play prop. Aaron fucked up lock. And AJ comes back after his rest last week. And Jaden Campbell drops back to the bench. This is going to be an interesting game. I think the Titans can get the win at home, but it depends on what Roosters turn up. They were very disappointing last week, the Roosters, against the Storm.
Yeah, and the Roosters are nearly getting back to full strength as well. So they've got a click, don't they? Like they're sitting closer to the bottom of the table than they are the top of the table, and that's really sad for the squad that they've got.
Sitting in bottom four.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So,
I just don't see them making 8, unfortunately.
oh, mate, they would have to go on. They'd have to go on one hell of a run to get there. And the games that they've got left over, we talked about it on the Sunday night. The games that they've got left, they do certainly have the potential to do it. But I mean, they'd be aiming for 8th spot and trying like hell to squeeze in. I think with Tedesco back, if you're looking at an option for fullback, Tedesco, I actually kept him and sold Gutho a couple of weeks ago. Jury's still out as to whether or not that was the right play or not. But as far as the funds went, I think Tedesco's probably got the potential to outscore Gutho for the trip home. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go to Gutho to Teddy this week. I think I'm going to sell Gutho. He's at 900k. He's got a very high break even. And the Eels' run home is terrible. It is absolutely terrible, their run home. So I think Gutho's going to have to go for me. Just whether it's going to be the Teddy, the downgrade, or whether I go to Latrell, I'm not sure yet. So see what happens. Anything else from this game at all, Tim? Anyone else you like from this game at all?
The Fafita question's obviously an interesting one. He's got a relatively decent break even at the moment, so I'm not going him this week. I'll probably wait a week after the injury and whatever else that he's had, the high workload from Origin, and see how he goes.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are anti-potting him, and at this stage, I'm probably one of them.
It's not. We discussed this on the pod on that night, and it's not a great run home, but he's still a mile ahead of the next best in the second row in regards to points. So yeah, all right. We'll move on to the next game, which is the Knights versus the Storm. So for the Knights, just the one change. Gagai comes back in. Tuola drops out. Storm, no changes at all. How do we see this one playing out? Do we think the Storm will be too good? I mean, I'm hoping Ponga will, have a crack at this one. But and then obviously Cam Munster's, pretty popular this week too. So
if you're looking for a bet to bet against the trend this round, I reckon this is the game to do it. I think the Knights at home could. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game.
Yeah.
I think the Knights could possibly create a bit of an upset on this one. They've got form at the moment. They just scored a lot of points over the last few weeks, and KP's just firing. So I think you could do a lot worse than if you're trying to find one upset in the round, like I generally try and do with my tipping. This would be the game I'd be going. Go the Knights over the Storm.
Yeah, I think that. Who knows? Storm haven't been playing that great lately, to be honest. But they're that sort of side that they're going to make a run home, I think, and finish in the top 4. I wouldn't want to be playing against him in these last few rounds. But yeah, Munster's another one, as I said, that's highly traded in. He only got about 60 last week, so he wasn't that great. But yeah, look, I wouldn't hold it against anyone who's going to trade him in this week. That's for sure. So yeah. All right, next game, Cowboys versus the Eels. For the Cowboys, no changes. For the Eels, Bring Campbell-Gillard is suspended for 4 weeks. So Ogden will start at prop. Sivo but didn't fail to get his downgrade at the judiciary, so he's gone for 4 weeks as well. But no update on whether it's Blake or Dunster that comes into the side to replace Sivo. The way that the Eels are playing at the moment and the fact that this is in Townsville, I think the Cowboys could put at least 30 or 40 on them.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree. I think the Cowboys are just they're almost the informed team of the comp at the moment. They just seem to everything they touch turns to gold. And yeah, look, it wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys get the chocolates in this one. I think they can probably put on a decent point score as well.
I think Drinkwater will score this game. I think this is a game for Holmes as well to score quite well too.
Yeah, look, they'll be doing well. The Eels will be doing well if they can keep Drinkwater quiet. I think he's the man of the moment with the Cowboys. So if they can keep him quiet, then I think the Eels can win. But outside of that, yeah, my money's on the Cowboys. The interesting one, like we talked about on the Sunday show, the Dylan Brown effect, and I think the Eels are just not the same team without Browning.
Yeah, yeah. I think those who own Drinky is a serious captaincy option for this game too. Really do.
Yeah.
Just think the Eels are really struggling at the moment as well. So yeah. All right. Anyone else from this game that you wanted to? Anyone else you like as a trading involved for this game?
Oh look, I brought in Hopgood about 3 weeks ago, and he's been pretty average since then. But I'm pretty firm on. I think he'll come good between now and the end of the season. The guy's just an absolute workhorse.
Well, hopefully now that Gillard's suspended, he might see some more minutes as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he will. I think that workload will be a little bit more. He'll be certainly relied on now that Campbell-Gillard's gone again.
Yeah. All right, next game.
I think probably the introduction of Matto into that team, since Matto's come back from injury as well, has probably slowed Hopgood's point scoring ability down. But I think it coincides pretty closely when Campbell-Gillard's been available. So, yeah, I think that's made a bit of a difference as well.
Next game, Panthers versus the Dogs. So for the Panthers, Nathan Cleary makes his return at last. They also get all the Origin players back who were rested last week. Jack Austin goes back to the bench. Jamin Salmon drops out, and Jack Foggo drops out as well. For the Dogs, Cole Flanagan takes over from Kobe Sexton, who's out with a concussion. Almonte comes in the centre for Burns, who's out injured. Harrison Edwards has been added to the bench. Now, Kickout and Adaka are also listed amongst the reserves as well, so they have still a chance to come into the team. I can't see this any other than a Panthers bloodbath this game, basically, I think.
Yeah, look, I think the Panthers will put on a cricket score. My biggest fear in this game would be Nathan Cleary getting an early rest, so I'd be careful with the captaincy. I'm assuming. Do we want to talk about Cleary versus SJ now, or wait till after the teams?
Oh, we'll wait until after the teams. Yeah.
I know a lot of people have. I've been looking at the live betting at the moment, just on my screen. Panthers are $1.03, Bulldogs are 15. That's got to be pretty close to one of the biggest differences so far this season. So look, everyone's expecting the Panthers to put on more points than the Poms over the next few days.
I think there's a few irrelevant Panthers players to talk about here. The Super Coach, I think obviously Cleary is one. I think Liam Martin is another one who I don't mind. It's just under 500k.
Yeah.
Brian Tottle at just over about 600 something k as well. Definitely an option. And the other one's Targo, who's an Uber pot at about 3% owned at about 720k. But interesting, I heard a stat yesterday on one of the pods that Targo doesn't score as well when Cleary's in the team.
Yeah, I think the ball's just spread a little bit more. I think the Supercoach points themselves are spread more throughout the team once he's there.
I think when he's there, it usually goes more right than left, predominantly right to Critter and out to Tottle. Although it does not much against the Tottle because Critter doesn't really like to pass the ball.
Yeah.
But they do mostly go right though.
The other thing as well is obviously, look, Dylan Edwards scores substantially better when Nathan Cleary's in the team.
Yeah.
So I was going to mention him. If you're looking for a bit of a pod play from fullback,
Don't hate that.
Dylan Edwards is relatively cheap in comparison to where he was. He was at 800 or 900K earlier in the season. I think now he's between sort of 550 and 650 from memory. Like you can nearly go a straight sideways swap from someone like a Will Kennedy to Dylan Edwards, and he'll probably average 80 to 90 for the rest of the season for the run home. So you could do a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
The other one as well is Scotty Sorensen. He's had a couple of down weeks, but his form of late before that was actually really good. He's now down to low 600s as well, I think, from memory. So if you're looking for a pod option in second row, you could go worse than probably Scotty Sorensen too.
Yeah. I think anyone in that Panthers team's pretty good option, to be honest with you.
Even Isaiah Yeo, if you're
I was
looking for
just
someone
about to mention him as
consistent.
well. He's been flying under the radar, just thinking, just plodding along. Yeah, but no, I definitely agree. But the Dogs, nothing there that I like at all. I mean, there's no one I could go in that team.
Carraz is slowly hitting form again. Whether or not he can get back to his heights of the start of the
He
season.
got 70 last week with no try or anything too, so that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So he's starting to get things back together again. Yeah.
All right, last game of the round is the Sharks versus Manly. So the Sharks have made some changes after last week's poor showing against the Warriors. So Teague Wilton's obviously out with a knee injury. Jesse Quidpon, I don't know how you pronounce that, comes into the team. Dale Finucane returns from suspension, so Cameron Gibbs goes back to the bench. Connor Tracy starts at centre with Talakai being benched, and Matt Mullen's been dropped. Braden Fiddler starting at 5'8", and Wade Graham's been rested. I don't know about rested. I'm not sure about that, but that's what they claim it to be. For Manly, Matt Lodge will play his first game for Manly since joining the club. Sean Kepi joins the bench, and Shipley and Bullimore drop out. Interesting game.
Do you think that's how the Sharks will stay, or do you think Talakai will come into that left-hand second row?
I think that possibly Talakai could take that left edge spot, but I don't know. I mean, because it's the last game of the round, I can't risk it, so I'm trading him out because he's going to start to leak a ton of cash, especially if he's coming off the bench. But there's a chance it could happen, yes. So I'd just say for those who are looking to bring in that Jesse guy into your team, because he's cheap at 216K, I probably would go for enough instead because he could turn that into being an A nightmare, especially if he's on the bench. And with it being the last game, you're not going to know until the game starts. So, I think the Sharks should be too good for this one, especially at home. They're not playing against the top 8 team this week, so they should get the win. And hopefully, Mutalo will get a couple of points this week and, start to pay some faith back into these owners who, like myself, only bought him in 2 weeks ago for a 15 and a 9.
Are you playing him this week?
Oh yeah, you have to play him this week. You've got to play him.
I think if you've got any Sharks, you've got to play them this week, don't you?
Yeah, I actually have to play him because I've got one player on that's not playing, and I've got 2 on the bye. So I've got a Starko and Ham on the bye, so that's my whole thing. I think I've even got to play on money this week against the Panthers, which is not ideal either.
Ouch.
Yeah. So with Munro being out as well, that was the other one. Munro out, now Hammer and Noah Sarko this week. So that's 3, so I've got no choice, unfortunately.
Yeah. I need a big game from Will Kennedy. Otherwise, I'm kind of in trouble down in fullback. I can't afford for Kennedy to lose any more cash.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on Mulatalo? So obviously I'm not going to hold him. I'm sure a lot of are, but I'm seeing him being highly traded out this round, which I get it. He has got a break even of 140 odd, so he's going to lose a ton of cash. So if I had the cash, he was going to go for me this week, but then Talakai got benched, so Talakai's coming instead. But if you've got more talent, you can upgrade into a Targa or a Holmes or a Total. I don't hate that trade out either. I just think that after this round, the Sharks score is pretty horrible. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, so looking at the draw after this round, so they've got Manly, then they've got Panthers in 22, Bunnies in 23, then they've got Titans, Cowboys, Newey, and Raiders to finish
So,
off.
so they've
So
literally got,
they play every week, and this is
yeah,
where you've got to really start to look at things and look at your players and also look at the draw, because
yeah,
there's a few sneaky buys in there with some popular players and popular teams over the last few rounds. So when you look at like Cowboys have still got a buy.
South has still got a buy.
Souths have still got a buy. So you're going to have some players in there. So if you've got the likes of Val, Drinky,
Yeah,
if you've got like AJ still in there, Munro, all of
yeah,
a sudden you might be running out of troops. So
yeah,
all these people that are selling these Sharks, I'm not sold.
yeah,
They might not be a play to play every week, but they're guys that should get you points. Whether or not at this late in the season you've got the cash to make upgrades, or whether or not you've got enough trades to warrant 2 for 1. Look, it's a tough call. I'm going to hold Mulatalo, especially as his ownership has plummeted, and I think after this week it's going to be even juicier. So guys like Talakai and Mulatalo, Kennedy at this stage I'm holding. Kennedy will probably become Latrell. Or someone like Reece Walsh as a bit of a pod play.
yeah. All right, now SJ versus Cleary. For those who have got SJ, I have got SJ, and I am holding him for the moment, just purely for the fact that the Warriors run home is so good. Like they've got some really juicy matchups, especially at home as well. I am scared to not own Cleary. I'm not going to lie, but I want to have a look and see how SJ goes this week first. And Cleary's also got a break even of 140, which obviously you can easily get against the Dogs. What's your thoughts, Tim? Because this is a hard one. It really is. Like you're talking the bloke who's in the form of his life versus someone who's probably the number one super coach player in the game.
Yep. And let's be honest, to keep things real, we've probably got to put Nico in the same sentence.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the difference between, I currently have Nico and Jerome Hughes. This week, one of my trades will be Jerome Hughes, and I'm going to SJ. I've had this conversation with a lot of people online, and I keep coming back to the Warriors draw.
Yeah.
SJ's been playing against decent teams and tunning up. So if the draw that the Warriors have got, I think from memory, they've got, is it 5 of the bottom 8 teams or 6 of the bottom 8 teams?
Five of the 6 teams that have conceded the most points.
That's right. The stats today was the teams that have conceded the most amount of points. So, look, it's really hard to go past him. A lot of people have asked SJ or Cleary. I've said at this stage I'm going SJ. He's 100K cheaper or thereabouts. But like I said, you've got to bring Nico Hines into the equation. The Sharks have been playing really poorly. The Sharks run, they've basically just had their good run and didn't score to the potential that we wanted to. When Nico's sitting at 960 and SJ's at 700 and low 700 something, look, you can go even a Nico down to SJ and then turn your other half into Cleary. So, look, it is a tough one. I personally probably put them currently. Well, it's hard because you just don't know how fit Cleary really is.
Yeah,
and
don't
whether
know
or
if
not
he's going to be goal kicking either.
well, when they play the easier teams, are they just going to give him a rest? Like, let's see who comes on as 14. If Cogger stays in and around the team, then if they play him off the bench, then Cleary's going to get a rest. You'd like to think so. It is interesting. Obviously,
I don't think Hines is a sell. Like, I don't care what their draw is. He got 74 in a team that got absolutely annihilated on the weekend.
Yeah.
And
that's my point.
We're putting him in the question, and
then
he's
Nico,
definitely not a
then
sell.
I've got SJ, then Nico, then Cleary at the moment.
If you've got Moses, he's an easy sell to Cleary. There's no doubt about that. The Eels story is horrible. So forget about that. You've got Moses, it's a no-brainer. Just go to Cleary. SJ to Cleary, that's another kettle of fish, as I said. It's such a high one. And I'm in about 9K at the moment, so I've got nothing to lose for me. Like, I don't need to be following the pack. I need to do what's going to try and help me to get me up there. And if I don't go clear and he gets 150 this week and SJ gets 130, then I'm not that far behind. So and I'm saving the trade at the same time. So, but if SJ starts to stink it up a bit and Cleary does start to show, then I'll wait a week or two and I'm straight on to Cleary. So,
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Nico, if I just check his BE,
I don't think BEs matter at this time of the year, to be honest with you.
No. I'm just thinking in relation to how much cash he might lose and then the trade from Nico to Cleary. So Nico's BE this week is 140. However, he's against Manly and could throw up anything.
Yeah.
So I'd be thinking he's more towards the ton rather than he's more likely to get 100 than he is to get 50 against the Manly side. I think the team they're putting on the park at the moment. So I wouldn't be afraid of Nico's BE. I mean, it's basically the same BE as Cleary. And my money's probably on Nico to outscore Cleary this week.
Yeah. All right, let's have a quick look at the trade trends for this week. We'll just quickly dip through them. So, trade out, Tino's number one on the list makes sense. He's won 3 weeks. Number 2 is Mitch Moses. Makes sense to me, especially if you got most of you going to Cleary. Mulitalo's number 3. We've already spoken about him. Number 4 is Osako. Interesting one, Timmy. What's your thoughts on Osako? I'd be hanging on. I mean, unless you're going up to a premium like the Holmes or something, surely you've got to hang on to him.
Yeah, look, I think from memory from the Sunday show, he's the top centre wing, top point scoring centre wing at the moment and second fullback.
Yep.
If you're selling a dual centre wing fullback who's the top and second top player in the comp, then you're mental.
Yeah. Number 5 on the list is Dallas Tafare. Makes sense to me. Get him out. T. Bolton's number 6 is injured, gone. Number 7 is Will Kennedy. Interesting. 537K. So
just go back a step. The only thing I will say on Teague Wilton, and this is one that does affect me personally, I've got Teague in my team. The fact that he's not playing this week and he's got a high BE isn't necessarily a bad thing because he's actually not playing. So he's not an issue for you this week.
Unless you're going to the feeder or something like that, then that's okay. I don't mind that.
Well, I'm looking at Teague Wilton to Murray. But then that's not a trade that I necessarily have to make this week. Although Murray's got a lower BE and I think he's going to score really well for the run home. Getting rid of Teague this week is not necessarily high on my priority list in regards to some of the other players with high BE who like to not lose cash.
Yeah. Number 7, obviously, Will Kennedy. Your thoughts on this one? He hasn't been scoring well. I get it. I mean, I presume a lot of people are obviously going to go to Latrell or to Teddy or maybe even to Dylan Edwards.
Yeah, look, again, I've got Kennedy in my team. I think he's a play this week against Manly, and I'll certainly be running him out on the park.
Yeah. Number 8 on the list. Oh my God, why? Nico Hines. Why?
Yes.
Oh, why?
And that's obviously why people are doing it.
I've got a feeling people have obviously got SJ and Hines and obviously don't want to sell SJ, so they're going to go Hines to Cleary instead. But it's ludicrous to me. It makes no sense.
So looking at it, Hines to Cleary saves you 100K. Then if you've got a 700K fullback or centre wing, you can trade them to Trell for his 850 odd. At which point you'd like to think Cleary and Trell outscore Nico and I don't know, look at Osako or someone like that in centre wing. Look, I can understand it, but not this week. Not coming off two injured players.
Number 9 is Talakai, makes sense. He's been benched. And number 10 is Clint Gutherson, which I like that trade out. I mean, 900K was a massive break even as well and a horrible draw. All right, trade in. We'll just zip through this. Nathan Cleary, number 1. Yep, no dramas. Tick that off. Number 2 is Latrell. Number 3 is Aiden Blake. Number 4 is Harry Grant. Number 5 is Kane Pass. 6 is Pargo, which I like as a pod. 7 is Feeder. No problem. Walsh is interesting at number 8, Timmy.
Yeah, look, I like the Reece Walsh trade. I think the Broncos draws sort of 50-50. It's not a bad draw, but it's not necessarily a really good one. But I think Reece Walsh can, if he can continue on with the form that he had before he had his suspension, I think he can really kick it on home.
Number 9 is Cam Munster. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I brought Munster in last week, and I was really keen. I've taken Munster over Cody Walker at the moment. I want to see South start to put some decent scores on before I bring Cody in.
Yeah. And number 10 is Munro, which I think we've already discussed. Probably just doing nothing instead.
Yeah.
Stop playing. Just don't do it. So, well, that's it. That's it for this round. Yep. The
questions.
Let's go to the questions.
So we've tried to get through most of the questions that people have asked us during the week without chucking names on it. But one of the guys, when Roscoe put up the thread earlier with us doing the show tonight, and one of our members, Dennis Kovic, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Dennis, which centre wings for the run home? Look, for me personally, just going through my centre wing at the moment, I've got Joey Manu, Greg Marju, Ruben Garrick, Mulatalo. I've got Talakai, Isako, and Munro. I think Val Holmes definitely has to be in there somewhere if you've got the trades and you've got the cash to do it.
Probably another one had this, probably Isako. I think he's got to be in the question. I think Garrett's not sure so much. He's not someone to trade in, but I think he's the keeper for the run home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other two I want to mention is probably To'o and Targo. Probably another two you can throw in there as well.
Yeah, I like that. With the draw that Souths have got, maybe AJ, but you'd want to try and play him on matchups as hard as that is with Souths.
Actually, Campbell Graham's one I'll throw in there.
Campbell Graham would be a good one. I think any of the South team, if you
he'll be a pod too. Campbell Graham would be a pod too. I don't think many will jump on him with them having the line as well. So
you had him for most of the season. Have you still got him, or you sold him when he got injured?
I sold Campbell Graham when he got injured. Yeah, he's gone.
What's he priced at? While I try and look it up.
660 or something, I think.
Yeah, right. So absolutely. So he's a fairly, you can go sort of a sideways trade or like Militalo and a bit of cash or something like that.
Militalo plus him will cost you 150K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that gets out some of the main options anyway.
Yep. Any other questions?
Oh, I think that's about it, mate. I think we've covered much of it.
Okay. All right.
I guess maybe go through really quickly. Let's just look at this was off the cuff. Let's look at positions really quickly. So hookers, Harry Grant, number one.
I think so, yeah. Yep.
Front row forward, you'd have to go Payne Haas, AFB.
Yep.
Closely followed by probably Horse and Harris.
Yep.
I say that because that's my front row at the moment. Second row, I've got Nakora, Hopgood, Bateman.
Chuck Fafita in there too.
I would have had Tino and Fafita in there, or Harris in there as well. Or probably out of the six that you want a combination of those in there. I've still got Jackson Ford as a bit of a pod play. I think if with the draw that the Warriors have got, could be a handy pod, but that's probably a hard one again to play on matchups. They've just got to go left. Obviously, halfbacks, you've got the three options of Nico, SJ, and Cleary.
Yep.
5'8" is an interesting one. I've got Ponga and Munster at the moment, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think if you've got Kalen Ponga, I think you want him in 5'8", not in fullback.
Yeah. I think there's more options to go fullback than what there is in 5'8".
Yeah, I think Cody Walker's the only other one.
I think there's three. There's Ponga, Walker, and Munster. Yeah. And the centre wings we've just spoken about, and then we've got fullback. Well, I think probably, I wouldn't be trading Drinky in now, but if you've got Drinky, I think he's a hold to the end. I think Latrell's another option down there too, and Teddy probably for me as a fullback.
Yeah, the only other one I would say is probably Dylan Edwards as a bit of a
Dylan Edwards another one, definitely.
If you've got Will Kennedy, maybe on matchups.
Yeah.
Outside of that, guys, hopefully that helps people out and answers as many questions as we can.
Yep.
Shout out as per usual to Bluebet, especially after helping us out with our bonus bet a couple of weeks ago, and we finally got one up.
And I'm going to go to the hospital on Monday and hand over the cash for donation, and I'll get I'll do a photo with it all and post it up on the page.
It's going to be a big novelty check, like we get like a big polystyrene one. Like...
maybe not, but we'll get a photo of me handing over the cash to them, and thanks again to Blue Bets. It's great. We just need to get a few more up, and we can help a few other charities out. Might look at a couple other ones like Feeling Blue or some other ones like that for the next one.
Absolutely.
We'll just change it up a bit. So thanks again, guys. That's it for the pod tonight. Timmy, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Always good to be here, mate.
And Sunday night, we have our round 21 wrap, and we have a special guest on Sunday night. We have Mark Barnes coming on from the All Stars podcast, which would be great. So if you haven't tuned into that one, Mark does a really good podcast on All Stars. It's still available on all the usual platforms, Spotify, everywhere else as well. So jump on and have a listen to that one. Mark, Timmy and I have both been guests on that one, and he does a really good pod. So
Best one is they normally do their normal Supercoach podcast on the Tuesday night, and they Talking Footy podcast on a Thursday.
Yep. Until then, stay tuned, and we'll see you on Sunday night. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Good luck this weekend.
Stay safe and be
See
good.
ya. Bye.